Okay, we are building the Philippines with Wilma and Greg, and today our video is going to be about Wilma telling her story on how she built a dream home for her parents in Leyte. So we're going to let Wilma tell that fantastic story for us. So Wilma, if you would, tell the viewers a little bit about your parents and your childhood in Leyte.
Okay, well, let me start by saying with my dad's childhood. Um, he has a tough childhood. And, well, let me start by saying that his mother passed away when she gave birth to his younger sister. And after that, his dad pretty much abandoned him. His dad went to Mindanao, and so he was raised by his aunt. So it's his one brother, older brother, and youngest sister. So my dad has really tough childhood. So he never really got to go to school because as a child he had to help his aunt in the farm and taking care of his little sister. And my dad only finished second grade, so he know how to write his name, he know how to sign. So so he's got really tough time. So when I was a child, we are very, poor. And growing up, they just seeing my dad work so hard. He worked so hard all his life since he was a child. So, and I want to provide for him a better life.
What did he do for a living?
He is a fisherman and a farmer. So he usually do his the fishing early in the morning and at nighttime, and during the day he work in the farm. And there would be times that, even though he works 6 days a week, and Sunday is our family day. There's time that if there's like El Nino or after typhoon, there's just no fish or no everything that we have in the farms all get damaged, and so we would have not, we do not have food. And as a child, we were called a squatter. We did not own property, and we pretty much built our bahay kubo on somebody else's property. But each time they need to use that property, so we would have to move our hut, our bahay kubo.
So how many times do you think, being a squatter where you had the Bahay Kubo on someone else's land, how many times did you actually have to move your home?
Throughout my lifetime, my childhood time, I would say at least 10 times.
Wow, 10 times.
So we would have the whole, we call them bayanihan, like the whole barangay would come and help move our bahay kubo, which is very small. We try to build our bahay kubo above ground, just so it's easy for us to move when it's time for us to move. So seeing that throughout my childhood is I said to myself, someday I wanna buy a property for my parents, and someday I wanna build them their dream home.
So talk a little bit about your mom and how many brothers and sisters you have.
Yeah, so my mom's she is just a housewife because there's seven of us. I have five brothers and one sister. So I have two oldest brother and then me, and then two younger brother, and then my sister, and then our youngest is a boy. So there's seven of us. So it's a struggle, you know. There's seven of us, so my mom take good care of us, and my dad would work 6 days a week, so we hardly see him because early in the morning he would get up and go fishing, come back, go to the farm, and when he come home he would go fishing in the afternoon, because I guess that's when you catch the fish, in the morning and at nighttime. So it was a struggle, you know. It's just seeing my dad work all his life, and it's it's very tough.
Now, did you help out on the farm or in the rice fields when you were a little girl?
I did. You know, like on a weekend we would go to the farm, and we harvest coconuts, and I carry a big sacks of coconuts, and one time I fall down with with a sacks of coconuts and roll down on me, and I hurt my back.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah, it was rainy. It was a rainy day, and it was very slippery. And until now, I still have problem on my back. So it's fun, you know, to go. Sometimes we would stay in the farm overnight, and we have a campfire, and that was it was a fun time, you know. It was just very it's a very tough life, and that's why every time let me go back about being squatter. So every time the owner would need that property, so we had to move our hut. And there were times also that we did not have food at all, and we go to sleep with no dinner and get up and still no food. But I did not want to miss school that day, so I go to school anyway, hungry. But at one time I was so hungry, and it was just a very hot day too, and I was already in high school then, and I actually passed out at school being hungry, and it's embarrassing because your stomach will be growling and your classmate hear that, and it is a very embarrassing. So experiencing that my childhood and my teenager life, makes me want to work. I cannot wait to be big enough or old enough to actually go out and get a job, just so I can help my parents to support my sibling.
Yeah, and it's hard as your husband to hear you tell this story. I remember you telling me the story many years ago, and it's tough for a foreigner who grew up having everything that he needs, and living in a country where there was an abundance of everything, and then you hear, the lady that you fell in love with, a story like this. It's tough to hear. And I'm very glad that you're sharing it with the viewers, because Wilma was very reluctant to tell this story. And I said, the subscribers need to hear your story, because I want them to know the type of person you are, and why I fell in love with you, and why, I'm building you your dream home. You did this for your parents many years ago, and now it's my time. I mean, it's our money, of course. But I want to build this home for you. So now, guys, you know why, the main reason why that I'm building his dream home here for Wilma and myself. So thank you for that, Wilma. I appreciate it. So let's fast forward just a little bit. Now you're in the U.S. and you're working your way up the corporate ladder. You're working hard. You said, I remember you telling me many times, you know, you thought as a young girl, hey, someday when I get done with school, I'm gonna go out and get a job and build a house for my parents. So now, talk about when you're in the U.S. and talk a little bit about how you sent the money home and, you know, how you bought the property. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so my first goal was to save up money, enough money to purchase the land. Back then, a long time, many years back, it was the property, the land was cheap back then. So I saved enough money, and it just happened to my dad has a lot of my dad born and raised there in Leyte, and pretty much everybody around us, our uncles and our families, and you know, and so my uncle has a property right in our barangay, um, right on the national highway, and it's about 70 meter from the beach. And my dad called me that, you know, my uncle is selling this piece of property, and he told me how much. So I said, okay, just give me a couple months. Let me save up. I actually paid that property installment. I didn't pay it all full. So I said to my dad, okay, I will send you money for a down payment, half of it, and then just tell my uncle that, you know, I will pay it off in a couple months. And so that was my goal, because since I said, you know, it was hard being a squatter. Your house get moved 10 times. That was tough. So that was my goal. So after that, after I purchased the property, I waited at least for like, I said to my dad, at least now we have the property, you can build a little huts for now until I save enough money to build your dream home. And so that's what I did. And I worked very hard, you know, to make more money. And that's when I start save enough money, and that's when I start building the house. I didn't, you know, it takes about over a year for me to at least to build the home, because you know I didn't have the whole amount to finish it. So at least almost 2 years that I finished the dream home for my parents. Because that was my goal. I just wanna provide a better life for my parents. Because especially you know, my dad, my mom, they have a tough life. You know, my mom is the oldest of there's 10 of them. I have a lot of uncles and aunt, and my mom was the oldest. And I just that was just my dreams. That I just wanna provide a better life for them.
So now you have the house built. Took you 2 years. You didn't have the money up front, so you're, you know, saving, sacrificing in the U.S., sending money home. Now the house is built. What I want you to talk about is how you had your dad retire at 50, and how you religiously sent enough money for your mom and dad to live off of for over 20 years. I want you to tell that story.
Yes, I at age 50, my dad at age 50, uh, then I was making more money, and I I told my dad that, you know, you work all your life since you were a child. I want you to stop working, and I wanna provide for you and mom. So I send them money every month for the last over 20 years, and I'm still supporting my mom now every month. And that was part of our budget. Actually, we budgeted that when Greg and I retired, and that is still in our budget. I'm still supporting my mom. So that's when I told my dad, I want you to rest. You know, I just want you to enjoy life, and I want you to really just relax. And you know, I'm so glad. You know, I there's a lot of sacrifice. I did a lot of sacrifice to do that for my parents. For you know, I don't see them much. I miss a lot of I miss a lot of seeing them getting old. You know, because really you know, a lot of time that I don't come back here in the Philippines, maybe 4 or 5 years, and one time I didn't come back for 8 years, and that was my sacrifice so I could provide a better life for them.
Yeah, and guys, the first of every month, Wilma always, without question, she could be sick and she'll go and make sure she sends money to her mom and dad. It was really beautiful to see, and you know, absolutely true. Where you know she did everything she could to provide that life for her parents. Now, you guys know with her intro and you know the different videos that we've done that you know we started going back and forth every 3 or 4 years from the U.S. to the Philippines and visiting. But then you know our life got more complicated. You know we got you know promoted at our jobs, and it was very hard to break away. So 2010 to 2018, it was a 8 year span from visiting the Philippines. We just could not break away. So you know during those 8 years, she was still maintaining you know the monies every month to support her family. But then in 2018, there was an event. Her dad was turning 70. So Wilma wants to tell that story real quick.
Yeah, so yeah, just like my husband said, 2010 or around like about at least in 2010 we came back here, and then like we start talking about like around 2011 2012 we would start talking about if you know retirement, the early retirement. So that's part of it. Why that's part of that too. That why we didn't come back here for 8 years, because we're trying to save money, and I'm so sending money for my family, supporting them. And so finally 2018 we plan to come back, and we were gonna come back like in August, because August is fiesta in my barangay. But then I was talking to my husband, and I said, you know, my dad turned 70 this year. So you know, and I haven't been back in Leyte for Christmas for many years. Like I would say 25 years I haven't been back. And I said, well, I would love to actually maybe just go back there for his birthday and be there for Christmas, and we'll have a party for him for his 70th birthday. And so we did that. So we didn't come home for fiesta, and so we changed it to for my dad's 70th birthday instead, because my dad's birthday is December 24th, Christmas Eve, and plus I haven't been back here for many years for Christmas, so that was kind of like a win-win for me. So that's what we planned, and I said to my husband, I would like to throw a 70th party for my dad, and it was a surprise at first. We were gonna surprise him, you know. I have my cousins, my first cousin, make all the arrangement. I was like making arrangement with my cousins to cater for his party, and at first I said, don't tell my dad yet, because I want to surprise him, to have a big party. That would be, you know, my dad never even had a, you know, party in his childhood. And just like I was saying, let me just break away from that. Just like I was saying to my husband, that growing up, I don't even know, as a kid, I don't even know when's my birthday. And I never had a cake. My first birthday cake when I was already in the U.S. That was my first birthday cake. So Anyway, let me go back to my dad's party. Uh, so we surprised. I planned it with my first cousins because I was in the U.S. and it was like finally it was a month before we were coming home. I said to my husband, I said, I think we should tell my dad because you know just so because I want him to invite all his friends because he's got a lot of friends and cousins in my barangay. So we did. We called like a month before we come back. We called my dad and my mom, of course, was there, and I told him the plan, and he was so happy. He was thrilled, because we are gonna have. I said to my dad, I'm gonna have it catered, and I already have my cousins, Mary Jane, to planning it. Yeah, and I told him invite all your friends because I have it catered for over 100 people. I'm gonna have a big party for your 70th birthday, and he was so happy. He was very happy, and just my dad laughed, and I laugh like my dad. I have a laugh like my dad, and so after that we didn't talk for like a week, and then like a week later, after I talked to him, telling him the good news, like exciting news, that we're coming home and we're having a big party for you. We have 70th party for you, and a week later, a week, 1 week later, I get a call from my family. My dad is sick, and I said, "What do you mean he's sick?" I just talked to him last week. I said, yeah, and I think it's, we have to take him to the hospital because he's very sick. And I said, okay, yeah, why you waited? And I asked him how long, how many days. It was a couple days already he's been sick. I said, okay, take him to the hospital. And so they took him to the, local hospital, public hospital, not far away from us. And we're going back and forth, check on him, and they call me, and it's like, the hospital here, think that, he should be transferred to a private hospital. I said, okay, make an arrangement to transfer him to the private hospital, which is in Tacloban, and that's like 2 hours away. And so we made the arrangement with the ambulance, and the nurse has to come along with that transition. But anyway, so that we made that transfer, but and unfortunately, he passed away. He passed away 3 weeks before his birthday, and actually it was just hard. It was tough because that morning when I got a call, because we're 12-hour different, it's like, well, you're gonna have you need to talk to your dad because I don't think he's gonna make it. When they don't think he's gonna make it, it's like, what you mean? It's like, what's wrong with him? And so I talked to my dad, but he can't talk to me anymore. But he heard me, everything. It's like, Dad, I told him, Dad, he's like, I'm coming home. I'm having a party for you. Please wait for me. But unfortunately, that morning I spoke to my dad, and that night he passed away in the hospital.
Yeah, and that was tough. I mean, that was probably the toughest ordeal that Wilma and I had to ever go through, and it was definitely a challenge. But the good news out of this, I mean, there's really no bright spot, but the fact that Wilma allowed her dad to retire at 50, provided a dream home, took care of him financially all those years, though she sacrificed being away. How great of a story is that? And we really thought about not telling this story, but we're making friends here, Negros, and so many people said, share the story, share it. You guys know in our intro we're private people, and of course we want to keep our private life private. But this story is so good. I always said to Wilma, you need to write a book. So I wanted to share with you guys. Wilma built her dream home for her parents. And now you guys know why I'm building this dream home for my wife.